The hospital stood like a monolith against the moonlit sky, its windows reflecting the flickering fluorescent lights within. I was a young nurse, eager to make a difference, but the night shift had a way of revealing hidden truths. The whispering ward, they called it. An old wing where patients whispered of things unseen, and nurses exchanged knowing glances. One stormy night, a patient arrived, an elderly man named Mr. Thompson. His eyes held ancient secrets, and his frail hands trembled as he clutched a worn leather journal. He spoke of a curse, a pact made with shadows, and how the hospital was the epicenter of his torment. I dismissed it as delirium, but the air in his room thickened, and the lights flickered. Strange occurrences plagued the whispering ward. Nurses heard footsteps when no one walked the halls. Patients claimed they saw figures at the foot of their beds, whispering in forgotten tongues. Mr. Thompson's journal revealed cryptic symbols, the language of desperation etched in ink. I read it, and the words clawed at my sanity. As days turned into weeks, the hospital changed. Shadows lengthened, and the walls seemed to breathe. Patients vanished, leaving empty beds and unanswered questions. Mr. Thompson grew weaker, muttering about a debt unpaid. The whispers intensified, urging me to decipher the symbols, the key to salvation or damnation. I confronted Mr. Thompson. His eyes held mine, pleading. "The shadows hunger," he rasped. "They feed on life force. The pact, my family's curse, binds us to this place. I can't escape, but you can." His journal revealed a ritual, a sacrifice to break the curse, a life for a life. I hesitated, torn between duty and survival. The storm raged outside, echoing the turmoil within. I chose. The hospital's basement, an abyss of forgotten memories, beckoned. There, I whispered the incantation, my trembling hand slicing my palm. Blood dripped onto the ancient sigil. Shadows converged, and Mr. Thompson's eyes widened. "Thank you," he whispered, fading into the darkness. The whispering ward fell silent. The curse lifted, but at what cost? I returned to my duties, haunted by the choices made. The hospital resumed its mundane rhythm, but I knew. I had glimpsed the veil between worlds. Sometimes in the quiet hours I hear Mr. Thompson's voice urging me to remember. The shadows still hunger, and the pact remains unbroken. The hospital had seen better days. Its corridors echoed with footsteps of the living and whispers of the departed. I was an intern, assigned to the basement, the forgotten ward. The air smelled of decay, and the flickering lights cast elongated shadows. I had no idea what awaited me. The forgotten ward housed relics of a bygone era, patients abandoned by time and family. Their eyes held stories of wars, lost loves, and broken dreams. Mrs. Simmons, frail and forgotten, sat by the window, tracing patterns on the dusty glass. She whispered of a nurse who vanished, leaving behind a cryptic note. Curiosity gnawed at me. In a dusty drawer, I found Nurse Evelyn's diary, a yellowed parchment filled with inked secrets. She wrote of a forbidden love, a doctor named Dr. Harrison. Their stolen moments in the forgotten ward, their whispered promises. But one night, Dr. Harrison disappeared, leaving only a crimson stain on the floor. Nurse Evelyn's ghost wandered the ward, her white uniform stained with blood. She whispered to me, her voice echoing through the empty rooms. "Find him," she urged. "Release me." The diary revealed a ritual, a pact with shadows, a sacrifice to break the curse. I hesitated, torn between duty and compassion. I followed the clues. Old medical records, faded photographs. Dr. Harrison's fate lay buried in the hospital archives. The basement held answers, the place where Nurse Evelyn last saw him. The walls pulsed with suppressed memories. I chanted the incantation, my trembling hand slicing my palm. Blood dripped onto the ancient sigil. The shadows converged, and Nurse Evelyn's form solidified. "Thank you," she whispered, fading into the darkness. Dr. Harrison materialized, a specter of regret. "Forgive me," he mouthed. The curse lifted, but the forgotten ward remained, a sanctuary for lost souls. I returned to my duties haunted by love and sacrifice. The forgotten ward held more than patience. It cradled love, betrayal, and redemption. Sometimes in the quiet hours, I hear Nurse Evelyn's voice urging me to remember. The hospital stands, its walls thick with memories. And I wonder, what other secrets lie hidden in the shadows? Dr. Amelia Reed, a brilliant mathematician, stood at the precipice of discovery. Her obsession, the elusive fractal equation, the key to understanding the universe's hidden symmetries. She worked late nights in her cluttered office, surrounded by chalk-drawn patterns and fading coffee cups. The equation whispered to her, a siren song of chaos and order. Its symbols danced across her mind, simple yet profound. Dr. Reed knew it held secrets, the fabric of reality woven into its curves. But every attempt to solve it led to dead ends, like chasing shadows. One stormy evening, a visitor arrived, an old man with eyes like ancient galaxies. He introduced himself as Professor Elias, a recluse rumored to have cracked the fractal code. He handed Dr. Reed a yellowed notebook, the missing link. "The equation is a map," he said. "A path to other dimensions." Dr. Reed immersed herself in the notebook. Its pages revealed patterns, recursive, self-similar. She traced the lines, her fingers trembling. The basement, the heart of the university, beckoned. There, she chanted the incantation, her blood mingling with chalk dust. The walls pulsed, revealing doorways to infinity. Dr. Reed stepped through, a kaleidoscope of realities. Each iteration echoed her existence, a world where she was a painter, a pirate, a whisper in the wind. The fractal equation governed them all. She glimpsed her own death, her birth, and the spaces in between. Elias waited, smiling. Elias revealed the truth. The equation was a bridge, a cosmic handshake. "Choose," he said. "Stay or return." Dr. Reed hesitated. The multiverse pulsed, its symphony overwhelming. She glimpsed her childhood home, her lost love, and the stars beyond. She chose Earth, the familiar ache of existence. Dr. Reed returned, notebook in hand. The fractal equation remained unsolved, yet she understood. It wasn't about answers. It was about the journey. Elias vanished, leaving only a whisper. "We are all fractals," repeating across time. And so, Dr. Amelia Reed continued her quest, chasing infinity within the confines of her chalk-drawn office.